Hey, this is Waiver Wire Surprise. Let's go take a look at the DFS Build League and see what is available out there on the Waiver Wire live in real time. This is actually just an 8-team league from our DFS Build people over in our Discord. But still, we're going to look at percentages live at Sleeper and see who's out there right now. So obviously, the bigger the league goes, the less likely these guys are going to be out there. But let's just take a look at each position. Starting at quarterback, Aaron Rodgers is a graybeard, but he also is facing the Bengals this week. On a short week, it is in Cincinnati. Decent chance that he has to take it to the air a little bit more than usual, but the Bengals are pretty bad all around defensively. Like Josh Jacobs just absolutely smashed them. And honestly, everybody has for the most part. So Steelers are probably going to win this game. I would imagine Aaron Rodgers has a pretty good game, and he historically does well in primetime settings. So Aaron Rodgers, while he feels a little bit dicey, if you are in need of a quarterback, and you certainly could be because there are injuries and bye weeks, in terms of matchup and like offensive weapons around him, like I think he's a pretty darn good play. So right now available in 74% of leagues. So that looks like a pretty good option. I don't really like a lot of the other matchups here. Like Tua is going to be available a little bit less. But he's been pretty good overall. But the matchup against the Browns, I don't love it. The only nice thing is the only way you're going to find a lot of success against Cleveland, because they're so stingy up front against the run, is going to be through the pass. But they also could just completely, destroy Miami's offensive line and get a ton of sacks here, which is what I would probably fear. Plus, he's coming off a 3-interception game. So, I mean, it feels weird, but if I had to pick between Aaron Rodgers and Tua, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers right now. Trevor Lawrence is probably a little safer than Rodgers because he does have that rushing floor. He faces the Rams, who are not a great matchup either. Like, Rams have been very good defensively. Again, I think I would go Aaron Rodgers over Lawrence. And there also is the thing, like, as you get bigger into bigger leagues, Lawrence is just less available than Rodgers. So nobody wants to roster a 41-year-old quarterback on a, balanced semi-run first offense in the first place. But Rodgers looks good this week. Bryce Young is the first guy that I'm seeing that has similar ownership as Rodgers, but it could be in a better spot, or not a better spot, but an equal spot, and he might be a little bit more interesting to some people, coming off a great game against Dallas, 25 fantasy points, although points are kind of inflated in this league just a little bit. But the Jets are a really good matchup, so Bryce Young looks good. Once again, though, kind of like Rodgers a little bit more. I think the matchup is just really good. Michael Penix against 49ers, he's going to be available too. Same, 26% rostered. Spencer Rattler against the Bears. Rattler, by the way, is a good quarterback. I don't know who needs to hear it. I don't know if there's any Saints fans that are going to stumble upon this video, but Spencer Rattler can make all the throws. He's very good inside the pocket. Like, good things are going to come to New Orleans if they actually build around Spencer Rattler. I'm just going to say, it sounds weird, but it is true. In Chicago, I don't love that. I think the Bears defense is underrated. So not super giddy to go get Rattler, but he's even more available than any of the other guys I went over. Not doing the Cam Ward dive. Geno Smith, my God, the floor is remarkably low with this guy. He does have a ceiling, but Brock Bowers is banged up. Something is just not right with them. Like, I don't want to play with Geno Smith. CJ Stroud against the Seahawks. The Seahawks have been giving up a lot of production lately. So the bummer with CJ is, even coming off of a bye week, he's only available in 46% of leagues. Stroud is probably the first guy that I would go get, though. I think this could be a shootout. Houston did finally bounce back. He crushed against the Ravens. Like, everybody smokes the Ravens, just like everybody smokes the Bengals. But Stroud should be in a pretty good spot here against Seattle. So if I had to rank them in terms of waiver wire priority, I would go first and see if Stroud is available. And if Stroud is not available, then I'm going to Rodgers. Not super psyched to trust in Dylan Gabriel. He is facing the Dolphins, who give up a lot of production. And he was pretty good against a good Vikings defense 2 weeks ago, but I'm not going to do that. You could also go with Flacco. Steelers defense has been a lot better lately, though. He got garbage time stats against the Packers, but he does have weapons to work with. But on a short week, I'm going to lean towards the Steelers in general. So Aaron Rodgers and CJ Stroud look the best here. Like, if they're not there for some reason, and it's a T-Law or Bryce Young, I like them both. And I think I actually like Bryce Young a little bit more just due to matchup. Kamani Vidal is not going to be available in many leagues. Right now, 54% availability across the board. I would put in a lot of FOB and go get him ASAP. I was not thinking that he was going to smash right away, but I did think that he was the better pickup compared to Hassan Haskins, who I just never had any faith in, because Vidal is just a more versatile player, a better overall athlete too. So he crushed. So 124 rushing yards, involved as a receiver, just a complete back, not very big dude or anything, but hey, and Omarion Hampton, by the way, is going to be out longer than just that 4-week window on the IR. So, and Najee's gone for the season. So, like, Vidal could be a league winner, possibly. You never know. In the meantime, if you're dealing with injuries, he can save you for the next like 4, 5, 6 weeks here. Colts matchup this week, not amazing, but I don't really care. Like, volume is king. He is the pickup across the board right now. So I'd go get him for sure. Kenny Gainwell with Jalen Warren back. I think he's just a stash or a handcuff. Like, he's okay. He's only available in 40% of leagues, so not even really a priority. Not even a guy who's going to be out there a lot. I think if people drop him and you just don't have a lot of depth on your roster, he's a good pickup. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not playing with Haskins. He's not even available. It's Vidal over Haskins for sure. People made a mistake there going Haskins over Vidal. So that's an easy call. I mean, I'd go right now and make that happen. I've been on point, man, with some of these pickups. The only thing I missed really was the Amari DiMercado versus Michael Carter thing. And Amari dropped the ball. He had a touchdown. Like, he would have hit that week, and then maybe he would have stayed involved. But right now, the Cardinals at this point, they are just a timeshare, which is probably what we kind of thought the whole time. And then last week I said to stash Kendre Miller. I still stand by that. And, he's probably going to be available in a lot of leagues too, because Alvin Kamara is 30. There's trade rumors. He's nicked up. Like, they're losing. There's no reason not to stash Kendre Miller if you have the roster space. Speaking of stashes, RJ Harvey still just is taking a major backseat to J.K. Dobbins. We saw a few weeks ago his explosion, largely due to what he did the backfield as a receiver. Great matchup this week against the Giants. Great matchup next week against Dallas. He's the Raiders in 3 weeks. He's got some good games ahead of him. I think this is a great stash. What's his ownership looking like? Yeah, he's very rostered. I think he got dropped in this league just because he has been very, very uninvolved and very, very hit or miss. He had one big game. Other than that, just not really getting it done. I mean, that's the way it is. That they're giving J.K. Dobbins a lot more work than I think anybody who was drafting Harvey anticipated. That said, J.K. Dobbins has a lengthy injury history. I gotta think Harvey's explosiveness and dynamic ability gets him more involved as the season wears on. So great stash. I think he's a good stash. Just not really going to help you this week. That said, the Broncos could be leading in the next 2 games, and they're very good matchups. So I would not be that shocked to see a change of pace, explosive guy like Harvey end up having a lot more success on lower volume, but more success in general than anybody's really projecting. Not very available, but there's a chance because he hasn't done anything in 3 straight weeks that people start dropping him in redraft leagues. 10, certainly 8-team leagues. We could see a lot of Harvey being dropped. So that is a good stash and a decent flex play in terms of ceiling. If you're really hard up, if you're just really hurting at running back, have a lot of guys on bye, or you've been hit by the Bucky and the Hampton injuries, I think he's not the worst flex try. Obviously, you're in trouble if you're relying on Harvey as an RB2, but as a flex play, not the worst thing in the world. Isaiah Pacheco, by the way, he's run pretty well. Got 12 carries. That is a season high, 77% of snaps. It looks like he is taking over. The Chiefs have looked very good offensively the past few weeks. Getting Xavier Worthy, who would have thought that helps them? Giving Pacheco the ball more, who's been pretty efficient, by the way. 5+ yards per carry in 2 of the last 3, over 4.2 yards per carry in every game but 1. He's been running pretty well. And this is a guy coming off a broken leg last year. So I love Pacheco as a pickup. He is not going to be available in a lot of leagues, but if he is out there, that is a great pickup. I think he's going to get more and more involved as the season goes on. Rashee Rice is back. Chiefs are going to turn into a bit of a juggernaut, I do think. Michael Carter still splitting work with Bam Knight. So I think he's an okay play, an okay pickup just in general, but he's no better to me right now than, RJ Harvey or something. I think you're just hoping he gets a touchdown The volume that he got a couple weeks ago, 23 touches. That's just not something we're going to be able to rely on, at a high level. But he's super rostered, so I wouldn't really worry about it anyways. Kareem Hunt, I'm souring on him greatly. Sean Tucker still is a good stash because we don't know the status of Bucky Irving yet. He got a little bit more involved last week, scored a touchdown. Obviously, Rachaad White is just like the guy. And I was all over that too. I said, if you're going to pick up a Buccaneers running back, you have to pick up Rachaad White. And that is the case. I think, though, if you are a Bucky owner specifically, or if you're relying on Rachaad White right now, Sean Tucker is super available in 90% of sleeper leagues, and that is a decent stash, / handcuff. Tyjae Spears is a little bit interesting just because we finally saw him really get more involved last week. 9 total touches, involved as a receiver, 59% of the snaps. This is a bad Titans offense. They just fired their head coach, and they're not winning games. So eventually turning to the 24-year-old explosive running back might be something they do. And he's available in a ton of leagues here, almost 70% of leagues. So I think Tyjae is a very good pickup going forward. Not really the best matchups coming at him. Patriots, Colts on the road, Chargers, Texans the week after that. Seattle's been good against the run. So the schedule doesn't look good. But Tyjae's super available. His role is increasing, and it could really blossom as we go later in the year. So obviously Tony Pollard's still the guy, but I think he is a good stash. Double down on Kendra Miller as a great stash available in 66% of leagues, or 56% of leagues, sorry. Not really that involved currently, but his snap count is staying steady or improving like basically every week. So eventually the tide is going to turn. You will want Kendra Miller on your roster. And he has league winning potential, very good athlete, very explosive. It's just going to come down to do the Saints at any point show any improvement on offense, which, by the way, at least goes back to my Rattler comment. I think they can be good through the air eventually, and having somebody a little bit more explosive than Kamara like Kendra Miller could end up being, what puts them over the top. So it's just going to come down to, will they move on from Kamara or not? I don't know. Nobody else really stands out as like a must. Like, we can definitely look at Isaiah Davis, Ollie Gordon. Those guys are decent stashes. Tyrone Tracy, people are losing the faith and everything, which rightfully so. But if Cam Skadoo ever has an injury, Tracy could be right back in there and be the guy. Everybody was all over Brashard Smith. But the first thing I said was, why are we fawning over a guy who really only got involved when they were up by like 20 points against the Ravens? The role was never going to be there, really. So this backfield is at best a three-headed horse, and it's Pacheco leading the way. Like, Kareem Hunt, to a lesser extent, is involved, and Brashard is going to be more utilized as a receiver. But with Rashee Rice now back, I don't really see the value. I think he's an okay stash if you have the room. I just doubt that you do. All right, so overall for running back on the week, I think Fidel is the priority, and then everybody else is just kind of like a handcuff or stash. And nobody really stands out at a high level. Like Tyjae or Kendra would be the two stashes that I think are actually going to be available that I think could help you down the line there. All right, wide receiver Rashid Shaheed. I can't imagine he's available in yeah, he's not. So he's available out in our league just because it's a small league. And obviously he's pretty hit or miss. 22 fantasy points one week, 4.8 the next. So that's just the way he rolls. I think he's a good pickup if he's out there. He just is. For DFS purposes, he's always a GPP guy because he can get you 20, he can get you 5. But if you need a guy and he's there, I definitely would not hesitate to pick him up. A.O. Manor for the Titans played 93% of snaps last week. Kelvin Ridley is now banged up. I've been talking about him for several weeks after he had a couple good games. He has not lived up to expectations at all. But in terms of game script and volume and role right now, I think he is a pretty good pickup. And right now he is available in over 50% of leagues. So I think he's a solid play. You got to keep in mind, Titans offense is not good, and he is a rookie. So those things do combine to make him volatile for sure. But Ridley being banged up and game script definitely have me thinking he should be getting 7+ targets, and he has a chance to hit here. Romeo Doubs just keeps playing well, by the way. Not like crushing every week. 26 fantasy points against Dallas. That is crazy because he had 3 touchdown games. So just not a high volume guy. So not really a super big priority for me, but he's playing well. If the volume ever ticks up right now, obviously, if for some reason he's out there, Matthew Golden is the Packers receiver to own. But Dobbs seems like a decent try in any given week. And Matthew Golden is down here, and he's available in fewer leagues. So I actually might pick him up in this league, to be honest. Hollywood Brown losing major steam with Rashee Rice back this week. So I'd imagine he's going to be a pretty big drop guy this week, even after coming up after a 2-touchdown game. I just don't think with Xavier and Kelsey and Rashee all being there, I think Hollywood Brown is going to lose value pretty quickly here. Josh Reynolds is not a guy that I ever find myself loving, the 30-year-old, just decent real-life wide receiver. But Garrett Wilson's banged up, and Garrett Wilson basically was New York's offense through the air anyways. So if he is going to be out or miss any time, Josh Reynolds could be thrust into a pretty big situation. There's also the rookie Arian Smith, and they have a couple other guys. But in terms of experienced guys who can come in and be reliable targets, I think Josh Reynolds is the one that makes the most sense. He is available everywhere, so I think Josh Reynolds is a pretty good pickup. Just looking at some other guys, some big names, like Josh Downs got it going last week. I really don't want to target Indianapolis receivers unless one of them is out, and right now they're at full strength. So I think Downs is a pretty good stash if he's out there in 50% of leagues, but just not a super big priority because they lean on the run game, and they have a ton of guys. Jordan Whittington, though, he's available in a ton of leagues. He got going 92% of the snaps last week. We saw Puka Nacua get hurt. Sounds like it is possibly a situation where he could miss a couple games, or at least the next week. So Whittington against the Jaguars, that looks really good. I think he is a great pickup. I would definitely prioritize him this week. Tampa Bay, no Mike Evans still, no Chris Godwin, and now Egbuka is also hurt. So Tez Johnson looks pretty good. They have Kamara Johnson as well. So those two guys could be very involved coming up next week at Detroit. They look like solid pickups. Sterling Shepard, of course, is still there too, and he's playing right around 50% of the snaps. I think he's okay. I think I would go after the Johnson guys over him, though. Another guy looks really good this week. If DJ Moore, he got banged up last night. So if DJ Moore is not going to play, Luther Burden could end up seeing his role skyrocket. Obviously, this helps Rome Odunze, could help Colson Loveland to a certain degree. Maybe helps DeAndre Swift a little bit out of the backfield. Those guys are probably owned. Luther Burden's available in 75% of leagues. Luther Burden looks like an awesome pickup right now, and he's pretty much out there everywhere. So he looks really, really good too. I mentioned Whittington already. Tutu Atwell's also banged up, so Whittington's going to play a good deal. So he looks really good. Some of these other guys, I will say, keep an eye on Isaac Tesla just because he played 46% of the snaps last week. He did not get a single target. I don't know how he plays almost half the game. Doesn't get a single target. But the fact that they're getting him on the field more is really, really interesting. Good, big-bodied, athletic dude. If they actually ever want to prioritize him, he's going to be interesting. I don't think there's enough there to get excited about even stashing him. Like, if you have the room, I guess, but you'd have to have an insanely deep roster to actually prioritize him as a stash. All right, that's going to do it for wide receiver. Wide receiver is honestly super deep if we're talking about instant help pickups like Whittington or Luther Burden or A.O. Manor. Like, these guys are all pretty viable. The Buccaneers guys, Kamara Johnson and Tez Johnson, all these guys are super viable. I think Whittington and Burden are the ones I'm going to be the most excited about, especially since I think the Buccaneers guys are going to be the ones that everybody's going after. You can certainly try to get those guys, but if the FOB competition is going to be crazy for them, I think I would kind of just pivot and be like, okay, well, that stinks. I'm not going to get those guys, but I can go pick up Whittington and Burden for cheaper prices because not everybody's going to be going after them at the same time. At tight end, it's not looking great in terms of reliability. I can't imagine Dallas Goedert is available now. He's not going to be out there in any leagues. If he is, go get him. They're just like not doing anything down the field, the Eagles, and he's just wide open all the time in the intermediate range on the field. So, yeah. Hunter Henry's not really available either. Hunter Henry is so hit or miss. I don't really want him anyways. Zach Ertz might be available a little bit. Got going again this past week. 13 fantasy points against the Bears. I don't mind him as a pickup at all if he's actually going to be out there. Mason Taylor is out there in over 50% of leagues. He went from being a target fiend. This is half PPR, by the way. In a full PPR, he was a god 2 weeks ago in Dallas. And then last week he had one catch on one target because Justin Fields was completely lost against a very good Broncos defense. I expect to bounce back. The next 2 weeks, the Jets get the Panthers, worst against tight ends. Bengals, bottom 3 against tight ends. Mason Taylor is a smash pickup. If you need a tight end, you got to go get Mason Taylor right now. Theo Johnson is a totally fine pickup. He had a really big game 2 weeks ago. I don't mind him. It's just Mason Taylor right now is the pickup. AJ Barner started for the Seahawks. He's totally fine. Don't have an issue with him. He's had a couple good games. Michael Mayer with Brock Bowers banged up. He was good last week against the Chiefs. It's not the best matchup. All these guys are fine. You can pick them up for sure. Like Freiermuth and like Johnny Smith for the Steelers, I think this is a week where they kind of pull back Darnell Washington because they've been using them more for blocking against good pass rushes. Like you need a big dude like Washington against Myles Garrett. But that's not really gonna be the case against the Bengals, who, by the way, Trey Hendrickson just got hurt too. So like their already dormant defense got way worse. So Freiermuth or Jonnu, I would not be shocked if one of those guys end up popping off. But honestly, Mason Taylor is the guy who's actually out there in a lot of leagues, so I would get him ASAP. Not going to go over kicker defense because it is a total crapshoot. Just play the matchups. Like try to go get a kicker who's in a reasonably decent offense in a good matchup, or a kicker who's in an offense that tends to stall and he gets a lot of opportunities. And defensively, well, let me look at defense real quick, see what's actually in there. I know the Patriots are not going to be super available, but they obviously have the nuts matchup this week. Chiefs against the Raiders, I think that's pretty good. Chiefs are going to be available. Bears against the Saints. I think the Saints offense is better than people think, but the Bears are underrated as well, so that looks pretty good as well. Miami against Cleveland. I mean, you could go either way on that one. Miami's defense is not good, but the Browns offense is also not good. So I think you got some options here for sure. While I said Stroud is a decent streamer and a decent pickup in general, Seahawks defense could have some success because Houston's offensive line is garbage. So there's a lot of options out there right now, and honestly available in quite a few leagues. Anyways, hopefully this sheds a light on what's available on your waiver wire most likely, and kind of like where you should be going and what you should be thinking when it comes to that. I think a lot of times we just go, oh, we have to pick up this guy, or this guy. But like relative to like all the other leagues that are out there, how available are these guys really? I don't know. I think hopefully this gives you just a quick, like real-time look at who is actually available and who we should be prioritizing. So there are a lot of guys out there right now that we should get. So I should just stop talking and publish this video so you can go get them right now. Anyways, thanks for watching and dealing with it. Hit me in the comments and let me know, do you like this kind of video breaking down in real time how available these guys actually are? And is it useful for you? If so, let me know. Also, hit me up with the like on this video if I do help you out in any way. And if you want DFS advice, come join us in Discord and catch our video for the Thursday night game coming up soon. Thanks for watching and good luck this week.